Hey guys, what's going on? Sam Bosworth here. Today I'm going to be doing a video on why I don't work, explaining when I have worked and how it didn't work out, and what I do to stay sane with so much free time. Let's get into it. So that's right guys, today we're going to be talking about the fact that I do not work, I have never really worked, and those of you that have followed me for a while will know that that is due to my disability. Just a quick breakdown, I have Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease. I'm not going to go into what that entails. Basically it leaves me in a lot of back pain, I can't really walk, I use a wheelchair when I'm out and about. And if you're interested to hear more about that, I have a video all about it that'll be up in the cards just here if you click this little thing, which will also include my playlist with all my videos related to disability if you want to check those out. But basically, due to my CMT, I cannot work. As I said, I'm in a lot of back pain, I can't walk, and there are a lot of things that come along with that, so I want to talk about that today. First of all, I want to go over the two brief periods that I did attempt to work because, you know, it's not something I've never wanted to do. So I have had two sort of retail jobs that I tried to do. The first of which was in a Blockbusters, and quite honestly, as far as an entry-level job, this was kind of a dream job for me. I'm obsessed with films. I went through a period where I'd watch at least one film a day, usually more than one, usually two or three, when I was in a cast and when I was recovering from surgeries and stuff like that years ago. So I thought working at Blockbusters would be great. I didn't think it was going to be that much on my feet. I thought it would be sort of sat down at the sort of till area, and the parts that were on my feet wouldn't be as bad. At this time I was sort of 21, so I could walk, I could stand, I wasn't in immense pain all the time. I was definitely in pain and I definitely struggled with day-to-day tasks, but I wasn't in a wheelchair, I wasn't using crutches as much back then. So I thought I'd manage it, but basically I did that job for 2 months, if that, and the back pain became immense, and also it turned out there wasn't really seats behind the till, even though I mentioned it to my manager. And they sort of said they'd make accommodations, nothing ever really got done, and I ended up having to leave due to the pain I was in, and that sucked because I really did enjoy working there. I'm not going to talk about that for ages, or even my next job for ages, because that's really just the intro to this video. When I quit Blockbusters, it made me think maybe I can't work, maybe I should just give up, and I didn't really attempt to work for the next 2 years, I just kind of worked on myself. I've talked about that in other videos, if you want to check them out again, they're in the cards. But when I got to 23, I saw that a betting shop, which I guess is only really a thing in the UK, I'm not sure what gambling is like in the US, I know the laws are all over the place. But we have betting shops here in the UK where you can go in and bet money on horse racing and every sport in the universe. So I saw they were looking to hire people for that, as well as offer a management training course within the sort of hiring process. Put my name forward, I got into the training thing, did the management training for about, I think it was 2 weeks. Started the job, and it was a seated job, so I thought this will be easy. Sitting for 6 hours a day, you know, I could at the time at 23 kind of manage to do that at home anyway. But as it happened, the back pain was immense. There wasn't really any accommodations they could make for me. There was already a seated job, you know, I was already doing minimal part-time hours, and it just ended up being too much for me, even with heat pads, even with like physiotherapy at the time. I just couldn't do it, so I had to leave that job. So that has left me from the age of 23, I'm now 27, almost 28, completely unemployed for 4 to 5 years. Fast maths. So first of all, I want to say that this was never my plan. I mean, I don't think it's anyone's plan, disabled or not, to never have a job, and I don't just mean a retail job, I mean to never have any kind of dream job or, you know, do something that you enjoy that can earn you money. I did try to go to university. I went to Northumbria University here in the northeast of England, but I dislocated my knee 3 times in the space of 1 or 2 months, I really can't remember. I missed way too much work, there was no way I could catch up, I tried, it was just too much and I had to drop out. So that was when I was 18, I was absolutely devastated, I was really happy at uni, I loved my course, I was doing computing studies, really into computers. My best friend did the same course as me at the same uni, you know, I went through high school and college with him, so I was super hyped, devastated when I had to drop out. It was really a bad time for me, so I wasn't happy about that at all. But when I dropped out, I decided, you know, I took a sort of year or two to recover from the injuries, the knee dislocations I had to have. I was in a cast, you know, I had to have surgeries on my feet afterwards because it messed me up. Again, I've talked about this in a different video, check it out in the cards. But then I decided, you know what, maybe I could study online at Open University. So that is definitely something to consider if you are unable to go to a conventional university. I believe even in America, all over the world, there are online studies you can do. I tried the Open University here in the UK. Again, I studied computing. I did that for, I think, 4 years. It was effectively part-time, so it wasn't a huge commitment for me. I thought I'd be able to manage it. As it happened, as my disability worsened, I just could not commit the time. I couldn't focus for the period of times I needed. I couldn't do the exams because of headaches, because of nausea, etc, etc. So eventually that was no good. So I want to talk about the reasons that I can't hold down a conventional job, because looking at me doing this video, if you've never watched any of my others, you may well think, well, you know, you're able to sit and talk to a camera, surely you could do a sitting down retail job. So I want to talk about why that isn't the case. Now, I've mentioned the back pain, all the physical attributes, the back pain, the fact I can't stand for any more than literally 5 minutes without being in agony. Obviously that hinders me to be able to do any kind of conventional job, even just as sitting down at a till serving people, or an office job where you're sat at a desk all day. But it really isn't just that. The huge thing which would stop me is the nausea and headaches and all the side effects that come from the medication I currently take, and really any medication I'm going to end up taking. My sleep pattern currently is 12 to 13 hours a night of sleep. I'm trying to fix it, but it's really difficult. I wake up feeling sick. I often am sick. I'm really nauseous. And I feel absolutely terrible when I wake up. If I ever have an appointment or anything important that falls into the period where I've just woken up, or I have to wake up earlier, it makes me incredibly ill. Not only do I feel ill when I wake up, but then after the appointment or whatever it is I have to go to, I am ill for days afterwards because it's messed up my sleeping pattern, and due to the cycle of my medication, that really messes me up. So obviously that would make it hard for me to have a job, even if I started doing a 9 to 5 office job, which, you know, would be fine in that I am trained in computing and stuff like that. I really don't think I would be able to commit to sort of 9 to 5, eat, rest, entertain myself, sleep, and then get up the next day, do it all again, because from doing anything, even just for an hour nowadays, it totally leaves me wiped for numerous days after the fact. So that's kind of a brief as to why I don't work. I just wanted to explain that so you understood, and you don't think it's just laziness, which I think a lot of us who are disabled quite often get called from people. You know, they think, well, if you can sit or you can, you know, type or whatever, you can do a job, you know, you can work, you're all just lazy, you're just a layabout. Get that all the time from a lot of people, and it really isn't the case, so I just wanted to explain why that is. Now, I want to talk about why not working isn't as fantastic as everybody thinks it is. I've no doubt if you are in my shoes and you don't work, you hear from people all the time, oh, you don't work, that must be great, in an incredibly condescending fashion. And there are definitely times where it is great, you know, you don't have responsibility, you're never really tied to anything, you don't have to worry about days off. If there's something you want to do, you tend to be able to do it, assuming your disability allows. There are definitely benefits, but it is definitely not the holiday of life that everybody thinks it is. I will say that when you first sort of realise, or if you get disability money or benefits or whatever, and you realise you don't have to work, it is a huge weight lifted, don't get me wrong, but within the first 3 months you'll realise that having nothing to do all day, every day, becomes tiresome and boring and just leaves you lethargic all the time unless you really start to structure your time. Obviously it's fine to take a few months to adjust, but you'll realise that sitting watching Netflix all day, assuming you have the ability to do anything more, is really not that great. So first of all, the reason it sucks is you have no structure in your days whatsoever. Your days are completely your own, which again, sounds great, but when you wake up with nothing to do every single day, you have nothing you have to do, while that does sound fantastic, it really makes you feel worthless. You feel like there's no point in waking up, so you'll sleep for longer, you'll just sleep all the time, you'll waste your life away. I know, I did that for years before I started doing YouTube and stuff like that. So that can be really hard to deal with. I'm going to talk about how I cope with that in a little bit. Second reason it sucks is no money. Even if you are on benefits, disability and housing and everything else here in the UK, and I'm sure it's similar in the US, that money really is barely enough to live on. It is certainly not enough to enjoy yourself on, really, financially. Obviously, I am grateful for the help I get financially. I think those of us on benefits will always appreciate the money we get, help from the government to help us with a disability. But the reality is that it is not enough to live on, and because of the structure of benefits and how they are paid and how they work, it is incredibly hard if you decide to go self-employed or do YouTube or do something like that to transition from relying solely on benefits to a job, because they don't give you a transition period. Once you start to earn money, that's it, they're gone. Once you have savings, that's it, they're gone. Once you get married, that's it, they're gone pretty much. So it can be very hard to support yourself, especially if you're in a relationship where you want to get married. It can be incredibly hard to support yourself financially, so that sucks. Finally, obviously a huge one is boredom. Again, I know it probably, if you're watching this and you're not disabled and you work a full-time job, you would probably love to never have to work and you're probably looking forward to retirement, but I speak to a lot of retired people, a lot of my dad's friends, stuff like that, who are so bored, and the same is absolutely true if you are disabled and don't work. Yes, you need the rest and the recovery and everything anyway, you spend a lot of time in bed watching Netflix anyway, but without any kind of structure, without any kind of purpose, you start to feel worthless, as I mentioned earlier, and that sucks. So I want to talk about the things I do to kind of stay sane and to avoid just being constantly bored all day, every day. So I think eventually I realized that, yeah, sitting around watching Netflix, playing video games, doing my sort of hobbies like that are just for me. I enjoy that stuff and it's great, and obviously I still do that every single day pretty much, but to only do that for me wasn't enough. And I want to say right now, if you are sitting here watching this and you're disabled and all you can manage or all you want to do is sit and watch Netflix and you're happy to do that, then, you know, more power to you. I certainly love doing that kind of stuff. But due to my disability, it does give me the opportunity to do a bit more, so this is what I do. I like to structure my days. I realized pretty quickly that I needed to set a structure in place to make myself feel like I was doing something, even if to the casual observer maybe it still looks like I'm really just indulging in hobbies. I wanted to feel like I was doing something with my time that I could be proud of and sort of count myself for. So I decided I would start to try and structure my days. So this is kind of how I structure my day. Obviously, I wake up, I feel completely terrible. I've talked about that. I'm nauseous, I feel sick. So I wake up, I give myself around half an hour to an hour just to wake up scrolling through my phone. I think everyone does that anyway. And then as soon as I can, I drink, I eat, and I take my medication, because until my medication kicks in, I'm really nothing. I'm in pain, I'm obviously still really tired, and I'm withdrawing effectively when I wake up from my medication. You know, I go 12 hours of sleeping with no medication. When I'm awake, I usually take them every 4 to 6 hours, so that is a long time without medication, so I'm in withdrawal effectively. So I take them as soon as I can. Once I've done that, I'll spend around an hour just on YouTube or Netflix or whatever, just relaxing, just waking up, trying to get to the point where I feel like I have energy, or spoons if you are aware of the Spoonie method. I can't remember what it's called particularly, but if you're aware of that, you'll understand. So I wait until I get a bit of energy, and then as soon as I feel myself getting picked up, being energetic, I think right now is the time to do something productive. So for me, productive is YouTube right now. Those of you who've watched me for a while know I used to make a lot of music videos. Although I am still interested in that now, I make these videos about disability. So usually for my YouTube videos, I will have spent a day before sort of planning a video. Like yesterday, I sort of got my notepad and I wrote my entire video plan. I don't like doing scripted videos because maybe it's just me, but when I read a script, I feel it's quite wooden. Even though I did do performance studies and I have acted and stuff like that, it's not... I just find reading a script for video to be too wooden. So I write a structure down the day before, and as soon as I get energy on my day after, I will start filming like I am right now. So filming usually takes me around an hour for these kind of videos. Obviously you're only seeing the good cut of this video. There is a lot of tripping over my own words, there is a lot of saying what I didn't want to say or not getting across the thing I wanted to get across, so I have to stop and start a lot of times. So filming takes me around an hour. Then after it's filmed, I have to transfer it onto my PC. That takes about half an hour, so yeah, and I usually have a cup of coffee because doing this has tired me out. Usually then I will edit my video, which takes an incredibly long time. I don't think people realize, but YouTube, making one video, especially like this, can take a full day of work. Editing usually takes me anywhere from 2 to 3 hours, and if it's a more complex video, like my wheelchair video I did the other way, where there were other shots I had to put in, there were like writing on the screen I had to put in, stuff like that, it takes a long time to edit, especially when your hands don't work fantastic, your brain doesn't work fantastic because of medication. I get brain fog, I get confused a lot. So it takes me a long time to edit, and then once I've edited, I have to render the video, which takes about 2 hours, so especially for a video this long, so you know, there's a lot of time consuming things there. So then once the video is rendering, I usually have my dinner or tea, depending on where you're from, my main meal of the day. It's usually something simple that my girlfriend has prepared for me if she's at work, or she cooks for the both of us. So I'll eat, I'll relax, I'll recover from doing the video and the editing and everything, which usually gives me a headache. Take my middle of the day medication, and then get back on the computer and get to posting the video and doing all the promo which comes along with that, which is putting it on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, reacting to comments that people post, the people who are like the biggest fans of my channel who are watching the video the second it comes out. So I do all that and respond to all the comments and everything like that. Then once all of that is sort of over, that is my time to relax, and you know, then is when I do the things I talked about earlier. I'll watch Netflix, I'll play video games, I'll sleep if it's been a particularly jarring day. So I'll just enjoy myself and try and wind down. I say try and wind down because sleeping for me is a huge issue. I really struggle with that. So I'll sort of play games and go on Netflix and stuff, but then I try and go up to bed about 2 hours before I'm planning to sleep so that my body can try and relax, try and not let the pain affect me, and obviously then eventually I will sleep. So that's kind of how I structure my days. I'm going to do a full video where I do a day in the life, which will sort of show you a more first-hand account of everything I do, and also will show you things like, I guess, food preparation and showering and stuff I struggle with that actually comes along with my disability, not just obviously hobbies and YouTube and stuff like that. So I did just want to say as well, I don't just do YouTube obviously to structure myself. I also do still try and educate myself on things, on days where I'm particularly tired. Obviously the only real sort of structure or productive things I can do is on the internet when I'm in bed. So I'll try and read up on the news, on politics, on stuff like that, or I'll try and learn something about computing on YouTube. You know, YouTube is such a huge educational resource now for free, and obviously you can support creators just by watching their video with ads on, so I try and learn about things that interest me, whether that's art. I really like to paint, I really like to draw. I'm not at all good at it, but that doesn't matter, I love to do it. I recently got into painting Warhammer figures, so sometimes I'll watch videos to try and educate myself about that. Again, I know it's just a hobby, and to a casual observer obviously it just seems like free time stuff, but I like to think that I'm at least learning something. I'll also read, because obviously reading is... I enjoy reading and it feels productive when you're stuck in the house all day. I will do that as well. So this video has been very loosely structured. I didn't really know how to come at it. I just wanted to kind of explain for the other people out there with my disability, or just with disability in general, or even if you don't have disability and are just curious and you think that people with disabilities just sit all day having the best time not having to work. I wanted to explain that it's not all roses, you know, there are difficult things to overcome, and just sort of talk about how I get through it. So if you were in the same boat as me, I would love to hear what you do with your day down in the comments. Do you try and do something productive? Is your disability at the point where you just have to relax? I would still love to hear about that and hear what you do to sort of fill up your day with the things you enjoy and self-care and stuff like that. Do leave me a comment down below. I absolutely love hearing from you guys. I read every single comment I get and try to respond to every single comment I get as well. Don't forget you can follow me on all my social networks. Links will be in the description and they'll be in the end card if you want to follow me on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. I post things to my stories on Instagram all the time. I'm tweeting a lot more now. And you can obviously interact with me on all those places. I will reply to everything I get when I can, so feel free to check me out over there. Finally, don't forget to subscribe to this video if you have enjoyed this one. Again, this one's a bit more loosely structured than what I usually do. I usually have a more cemented sort of topic that I talk about. Feel free to check out my older videos, they'll be in the end card as well. But do click subscribe, and if you click the little bell you'll get a notification every single time I post. I'm posting at least one video a week now, so be sure to do that. Anyway, enough of the shameless self-promotion, which is incredibly hard to say. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I will always appreciate you for coming on by and checking out what I'm doing. Have an awesome day. Bye!